When you think of it as digital gold, then it should replace gold. Gold's worth $10 trillion, and that takes Bitcoin to 500,000. But when you think of it as digital property, like replacing buildings and land and other long storeholds of wealth, then you're up by a factor of 20 or 30 from there. If you think of it like that, then it's a multi-hundred trillion dollar asset class. So at 10 trillion, it's 500,000. At 100 trillion, it's 5 million. So I think, we're marching toward $10 trillion, which is, $10 million a coin, which is why Bitcoin enthusiasts see it's just a very great long-term store of value. And it's a great investment idea.
Bitcoin will become a multi-hundred trillion dollar asset class, and it is marching towards a future value of $10 million per coin. That is the extremely bullish outlook from Michael Saylor. In his latest interview, Saylor explains why Bitcoin is extremely valuable and is bound to outperform gold. He highlights Bitcoin as a massive paradigm shift and the very digital transformation of money, property, and energy itself. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where Michael Saylor reveals why Bitcoin is no longer as volatile as before. But before that, today's video is brought to you by Crypto.com. If you still haven't got a crypto card yet, you're living in the past. With traditional cards, you have to pay annual fees, they take percentages, and some banks charge you at every transaction. That's not the case with the Crypto.com Visa card. With a Crypto.com Visa card, you can spend your crypto anywhere you want, and the benefits are insane. With your Crypto.com Visa card, you can earn up to 5% back in Crow rewards on every transaction, enjoy 100% cashback on Spotify, Netflix, and Amazon as a new customer for the first 6 months, get complimentary access to airport lounges and elevate your travel experience, and flaunt your style with the sleek and stylish metal card. Now, Crypto.com is currently giving out a $25 new user sign-up bonus for Jamie Tree viewers. Here's how to get your $25 bonus and start earning up to 5% back. First off, download the Crypto.com app by clicking the first link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen now. Second, sign up using our referral code NUTTY for your instant $25 bonus. Thirdly, once you've signed up and have been approved, here's how to get your Crypto.com card. Tap the card tab at the right of the navigation panel, select your preferred card tier based on the required cardholder Crow staking or lockup amount. I personally have a Ruby Red card. The only requirement is you lock up 400 USD of Crow for 180 days, which is then unlocked. Then accept terms and conditions. And you'll have to have sufficient Crow in your crypto wallet for the 180-day stake or lockup. Finally, submit your delivery address. Then you'll get your Crypto.com Visa card, start making transactions, earning rewards, and enjoying the perks. So to claim your $25 bonus and earn up to 5% back on all your spending, click that first link in the description to get started with Crypto.com today. Now, back to the video.
If I took $1 million of economic value in 100 years ago, and I held it in dollars, the US dollar is expanding about 7% a year for the past 100 years. So if you do the math, you find that you lose 99% of the economic value in cash. And that's why nobody in their right mind would put $1 million of cash in a box and put a time lock on it, and in the year 2120 expect their great-grandchildren to open the box and for it to be worth anything. It will be worth nothing.
Sure.
If I put $1 million of gold in a box, 100 years from now, the challenge is, will the bank or the government seize the gold? Pretty much every country on earth stole everybody's gold over the last 100 years. If you had it in Germany, it got stolen multiple times. If it didn't get stolen, if you increase the gold supply by 2% a year, then you realize the half-life of money in gold, that's the half-life of energy in a battery. The half-life of money in gold is 35 years. You can't stop the gold miners from mining gold. So ultimately, the economic energy stored in the container of gold is dissipating at 2 to 3% a year, which means you're going to cut it in half once, twice, 3 times, right? So you're going to be down to 12.5% of what you had, even if it doesn't get seized. So when you think about these things, you realize that gold doesn't really hold economic energy great. It just happens to be the best portable, non-sovereign way to move energy around. Bitcoin represents a paradigm shift. It's the digital transformation of money, property, and energy. And paradigm shifts are so profound that you're staring at them and you don't realize they took place because your worldview is constructed based upon a bunch of assumptions that you've always taken for granted. And so what Thomas Kuhn says in The Structure of Scientific Revolutions and what we study at MIT is there's only two circumstances under which people willingly undergo a paradigm shift. And one way is you wait for the old guard to die. And yes. The millennials kind of, they get it because they're different. And Einstein, said God does not play dice with the universe. Einstein never liked quantum theory. You could be a brilliant person, but you won't embrace the paradigm shift while you're alive in the absence of a crisis. The second way you get paradigm shift is a war. When there's a war and there are bombs dropping from above, you don't believe in atomic power, but then someone drops a nuclear weapon and the city evaporates, and all of a sudden you become a believer and you reassess your priorities. When you think of it as digital gold, then it should replace gold. Gold's worth $10 trillion, and that takes Bitcoin to 500,000. But when you think of it as digital property, like replacing buildings and land and other long storeholds of wealth, then, you're up by a factor of 20 or 30 from there. I mean, it should not be, it's much better than digital gold because I can move Bitcoin at the speed of light and I can program it to 1 million transactions an hour on an iPhone or a website. You can't do that with gold. So it's got more utility than gold, which means it's probably worth 20 or 30 trillion if it just replaces the gold. But instead of buying the Fontainebleau Hotel, which is a nice hotel, worth whatever billions in Miami Beach. Instead of buying the equivalent amount of Bitcoin, if you bought the Bitcoin, you can move that to any city in the world every hour of the day, compose it, decompose it, recompose it, dematerialize it. And, when there's a nasty tax on it, you can just move yourself to a different jurisdiction where there's a better tax treatment. And if you think of it like that, then it's a multi-$100 trillion asset class. So at 10 trillion, it's 500,000. At 100 trillion, it's 5 million. So I think, we're marching toward $10 trillion, which is, $10 million a coin, which is why Bitcoin enthusiasts see it's just a very great long-term store of value. And it's a great investment idea because it meets the needs of 8 billion people. The average person, the middle-class person that drives an Uber or works as a dentist, they can't buy $387 worth of a building in New York City every month is their savings plan, right? And a person in Africa can't buy a small share of a nice piece of property. They can't buy $127 worth of a Picasso painting. So Bitcoin offers property rights at any scale, any amount of money, anybody in the world. And you don't have to worry about, will people like Picassos? Will they still want buildings in Vegas or New York? Will some politician tax it away from me? Well, can I take it through an airport? So if you're looking for an egalitarian, utilitarian way for people to save money and protect their life force or protect their economic wealth for the next 100 years. And you are looking for something that's kind of consistent with the mobile wave, Android phones, iPhones, websites, that's truly global, it's more appealing to people in Nigeria and Argentina than it is appealing to people in Manhattan. Bitcoin is the first spark that catch hold and became a fire in cyberspace. And it's because it drew liberally from all the previous experiments.
Okay.
And it combined, the cryptography and the general tech ideas with proof of work, which meant that you had an open, permissionless system that could work everywhere in the world without a counterparty or a trusted intermediary, and no one could game the system. And so it is the first digital commodity that kind of caught fire, that sparked. I think that it's pretty stable at this point. I think that the great risk came in the first few years.
Yeah.
It's just like, again, coming back to the metaphor of a fire. If you start a fire, right, and you can put the fire out in the first few minutes, but at some point when the fire is taken over the entire warehouse or it's broken out into the entire forest, you can't put the fire out. So I think at this point it's beyond that event horizon. But certainly back in 2012, 2011, 2013, there are a lot of questions like, would it be deemed property by the IRS?
Sure.
Would it be banned or outlawed? Online gambling got banned and they just shut it down dead on arrival. So there are a lot of things that do get squelched. This had to get to a sufficiently decentralized, diffuse point where no one regulator or no one nation state would think they could stop it. And I think we're clearly there now. You can see that now with the utterances coming out of the White House, the Secretary of the Treasury, and the head of the SEC and the head of the CFTC. But you couldn't have been sure about that in 2012.
So there's Michael Saylor and his powerful insights on Bitcoin and its tremendous value, not just from its price, but also from its abundant use cases. He sees Bitcoin as a long-term store of value and an investment opportunity accessible to a broader population. To him, Bitcoin's appeal lies in its global accessibility and its alignment with the mobile and digital age. Saylor compares Bitcoin to gold, highlighting its potential to outperform gold as a store of value due to its digital nature and superior utility. He views Bitcoin not just as digital gold, but also as digital property, emphasizing its ability to be transferred globally with ease and manipulated to facilitate transactions effectively. If this content resonates with you, don't hesitate to subscribe and like the video. Your engagement helps continue to bring you insightful and timely content. Anyway guys, hope you all enjoyed today's video and it provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.